If you turned on a television in the late 1940s, you weren't looking at high art. You were looking at live, temporary broadcasts of blurry shadows and static. Once a show aired, it vanished completely. Lucille Ball was an incredibly ambitious performer, but Hollywood had essentially written her off. Studios gave her small roles and trapped her in B-movies, entirely missing the actual star potential she had spent years refining. Miles away from the Hollywood studio system, Desi Arnaz was facing his own uphill battle. After his family lost their wealth in the Cuban Revolution, Desi immigrated to the United States and painstakingly rebuilt his life from scratch as a wildly charismatic bandleader. The two crossed paths on a movie set and married almost immediately, but the immense success of their individual careers pulled them in totally opposite directions. Desi was constantly touring the country with his orchestra, while Lucy was tied to film sets in California. The endless separation fueled vicious tabloid rumors and put a massive strain on their relationship. To keep their marriage from falling apart, they needed to engineer a situation that forced their careers into the exact same room. That opportunity finally arrived at the end of the decade. Lucy had landed a starring role on a hit radio comedy called My Favorite Husband. It was so successful that executives approached her to adapt it into a weekly television program. She agreed to do it, but she handed the studio a strict ultimatum. Her real-life husband, Desi, had to be cast as her on-screen husband. The executives rejected the idea immediately. They were convinced that American audiences in 1950 were far too conservative to accept a Cuban man married to a white American woman on their living room screens. Faced with a flat refusal from the studio system, Lucy and Desi had a choice. They could compromise and let the network cast someone else, or they could force the industry to play by their own rules. To prove the executives wrong, the couple financed their own live vaudeville tour. They took their act directly to theaters across the country, and audiences absolutely loved their chemistry. The network finally caved and greenlit the show. But winning the contract exposed a massive technical flaw in how television was made. Broadcasting a show live meant the visual quality of their physical comedy would look terrible by the time it reached viewers. This diagram shows the standard operating procedure for television at the time. A single live camera pointed at a stage, and that signal was beamed straight to broadcast towers. There was no way to easily record the performance onto permanent physical film. Desi insisted on a highly expensive alternative. He demanded they shoot the performance using 3 cameras simultaneously, capturing every angle directly onto high-quality film reels before the show was ever broadcast. To make this work, they had to build a sprawling, complex infrastructure on the studio floor, carefully maneuvering massive film cameras and lighting rigs around the actors. And because he wanted the energy of live theater, Desi brought hundreds of people onto the soundstage, elevating them in bleachers so their genuine laughter could be recorded directly along with the film. By refusing to accept the low-quality standards of early broadcasting, Desi Arnaz accidentally engineered the exact multi-camera layout that almost every television sitcom uses today. I Love Lucy became an immediate cultural phenomenon. Families across the country synchronized their schedules to gather around the television set every single week. Then they hit an enormous storytelling wall. Lucy became pregnant. But running a corporate realities like pregnancy were strictly censored, to the point where networks legally banned writers from even using the word pregnant on the air. Instead of hiding her stomach behind furniture for 9 months, they wrote the pregnancy directly into the script. They turned a massive television taboo into an authentic national experience, drawing tens of millions of viewers for the episode where she gave birth. With the show pulling in record-breaking audiences, Lucy and Desi held absolute leverage. They used that power to form their own company, Desilu Productions, shifting control of the series away from the network and into their own hands. Desilu quickly grew into an absolute empire. They eventually produced historic franchises like Star Trek and Mission Impossible, and Lucy cemented her place as one of the first female studio heads in Hollywood history. But running a corporate giant exacted a heavy toll. The relentless executive pressure, combined with Lucy's intense perfectionism and Desi's constant overwork, fractured their personal relationship. In 1960, the couple divorced. The relentless ambition and corporate machinery required to broadcast an idealized American family on screen were the exact forces that tore their real family apart. Despite the painful public end to their marriage, Lucy and Desi remained close and deeply respected each other for the rest of their lives. Today, people mostly remember them for brilliant physical comedy, but their true legacy is the permanent infrastructure they left behind. Because they fought to record their show on high-quality film, those episodes could be re-aired endlessly, birthing the massive television syndication industry. They proved that creators could own their own studios, and they established the multi-camera format as the golden standard for producing comedy. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz navigated Hollywood as complete outsiders. In the process of trying to save their marriage, they laid the concrete foundation and built the exact architectural blueprint that the modern entertainment industry